I wanted to talk about advertisements, okay, or adverts, as they're called, in the UK. And see right here, here's one. Homes.com. I don't know about that, but here's the thing. Like when you look, something that I've noticed about myself, and I don't know if you've noticed it, but when I'm scrolling through and I see these advertisements, whether it's especially online now, where it just, because I know that it comes from Gen I, right? Like these pictures, the people aren't real, and the photos, and to me, they look, first of all, they look overdone, right? They always look very bright, it's like the opposite of minimalism. It's so weird how our society contrasts between minimalism and maximalism. And to me, AI right now in its current form is maximalism because they can get away with it, right? Because you can do it. And for some reason, which me personally, I prefer, I don't know, I prefer variety, I guess. I'm not really a minimalist or maximalist, but what's weird is when you go to restaurants, right? Minimalism is what they're doing now, right? Because it's cheaper, I really think it's because it's cheaper. It's cheaper, but the other reason is because it's become a trend. So now when you go to McDonald's, when you go to Burger King, you go anywhere, they're sort of doing away with details. But when you look at these advertisements, the reason why I say, I look at these advertisements and, you look at this picture, right? There's a picture of, a skyscraper, an apartment. Because I know that it's not real, it makes it easier for me to just ignore it. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I just wanted to talk about that and how, and the reason why I ignore it is because I know it's not real, or it's probably not real, even if it is. And there's just, and maybe, I don't know, like, I kind of don't want to look at something that could be fake. I don't know. Or it looks like, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to spend too much time thinking about it because it might not be real. And it's weird how that is. But of course, at the same time, it's not so much the details or the product itself. I think the bigger issue is I just want to see something that's legitimate, in the same way that you want to eat, the real thing, right? Or you want to buy there's a difference between a counterfeit and something that's real. And it's weird to call it a counterfeit. I mean, is it really counterfeit? Like when something is made by a human versus something that's just auto-generated, and there's just, I don't know, it loses value because it might not be accurate. This is definitely true with articles as well. Something that is kind of written and sometimes there's no purpose to it, right? You read an article and you're starting to read some news articles and you're starting to question like what was the point of it or whatever. Like it's weird because there's like you feel like I'm not sure why like it somehow having something that is made by a human somehow gives it value. And at the same time, I don't want the other problem that happens. Let's see if we can find another one. The other problem that happens, okay, here's another picture, right? It's a nice picture of an office, right? But the problem is I feel like when you watch something that was made with care, right? Like a Renaissance painting, there's something about it that I don't know, like it might have some meaning, even though, I mean, I guess technically it probably shouldn't matter. But when it comes to you it's just a matter of being able to look at something and feel like it has meaning. And I think sometimes when something is auto-generated, when something is just created in mass, it's kind of like when you play a video game and, when you play, what is it called? It's not, is it auto-generate? No, what is that called? I can't remember. But, when the levels are generated randomly, or randomly generated content, okay? That, for some reason, playing a video game, I know in some video games they do that, but I'm not a fan of it, right? I like playing a video game where the rooms are tailor-made by a person, where it's designed by a person, and it's not just randomly. Because when it's randomly made, for some reason, it just loses, I don't know, it loses its value to me. Even though, I guess you could argue that all things that we think about are randomly made, but still, I still want something that, I don't know, like it's like you value it more when something has been done with effort. But I don't know. I mean, that's a question, I guess, that I could throw on to you. Like, what do you guys see this? Do you guys feel this? So when I see a picture like this now, because I know that it's probably AI generated and these people are not real, the 3 people we're looking at, that makes me less inclined to even look at it. Like, I kind of just scroll through it. You know, I'm reading an article, I just scroll through it. Like, oh, it looks too pretty. It just looks too well composed. And I think the other problem too is that AI, it has a way of doing things too perfectly, too good. You know, they follow the rule of thirds, which is, the rule that photographers use. It's a little too, in a way, it's almost like in order to stand out, you want to actually break the rules now. It's starting to feel like, because it's so precise, it's so clean, you almost want, and the colors are always popping, right? Have you noticed just how colorful things are? And I don't know, it's just everything is overdone. And that it makes it so that there's not the gradation that there should be. There's not everything's always the best, perfect, clean, in a way that I mean, of course, when you think about it, professional artists, they've been doing this for decades, right? I mean, that's what all of them try to do. That's what all artists try to do, is they try to create things that are sort of perfect. So in a way, it's like it's recreating what the best photographers have been doing. But the only issue, but still, I don't know. Now I feel like I don't really want, I don't know. Even though it's almost like too much of a good thing, but that seems ridiculous. But it's not that it's too much of a good thing. I mean, I guess you just want something that could possibly have meaning. I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Like maybe it doesn't matter. I think maybe, especially, a different generation, they might learn to appreciate or get used to this. Like this, because this is all you'll ever see. But there's something. I think one of the issues that comes with this, however, is that we get stuck. And this is a topic that I want to talk about more, which is, I've been thinking about this a lot, where our society, it almost feels like the end of the world. And by that, I mean the end of art. We're not seeing the creativity. It's the end of, okay, there's the advertisement again that we just saw. We're not seeing the different, it's like we're stuck. We're stuck in this time. And imagine if AI just keeps redoing what has already been done. Like I always expected that, in the year, I didn't think the year 2000 would be the end of the world, literally, the end of art, the end of everything. Because right now, we're in 2020. Is 2030, are we going to be doing something totally different, or are we still going to be doing the same thing? Are we still going to value the same thing? Are we still going to be doing minimalist restaurants? Are we still going to be doing, and it's not just that, it's just that everything that AI does is sort of an official version of something. Like what is the best picture that you could take? This is the ideal look of a house, right? Like that's really what this picture is saying, right? This is the ideal family, right? This is the kind of clothing they wear. This is how their hair looks. This is how their shoes are. do you see how the picture itself creates there's a message, or almost not really a message, but it's like an implication of what things are supposed to be like. And the thing is, that can change, right? Like, this is all made up. Like, in the 1950s, this is not what the standard was. In the 1930s, nobody dressed like that. In the 1920s in America, nobody dressed like that. In the 1890s, nobody dressed like that. So why are we stuck with this? We're never going to change from this? And I disagree with that. And I don't think that the hairstyle, why can't the lady have a spiky hair? Or, why can't they wear something different, wear more futuristic clothing? Why can't the houses be built differently? Why does it have to be built in that way? Why do we have to be following the rule of thirds? Why not break that rule for photography, right? Isn't that what art is? I'm asking these questions because I'm saying, why do we have to be stuck with this official version? Like, this is the last version of humanity that will ever exist, when we can be anything. Like, we can keep changing things just as much as, the 1800s, 1700s people were wearing powdered wigs. The 1800s people were wearing these ornate Victorian outfits. The men were wearing amazing outfits. The men had huge mustaches. Why isn't this guy wearing a huge mustache? Why? Do you see what I mean? Like, and then, of course, after the 1900s, we had sort of a difference, right? Mainly to do with, people started shaving mainly for the work. Well, it's partially a technological, but what's interesting, innovation. But what's weird is that it's more because of the ability to wear masks. Believe it or not, meaning like chemical masks. That was actually the real reason why in the 1900s they stopped wearing, men stopped wearing beards and mustaches, which looked kind of cool when you think about it. But the reason why was because, because of gas masks. And, when you had to use them in different scenarios, it became, there's a utilitarian reason why fashion changes and the social norms change. But the thing is, now that we live in today's world where we don't have these constraints, why can't we expand on what it means to be human and not just be stuck on what today's culture, what today's culture happens to be? So here's another picture of a fireplace. And the reason why I say this once again, because, when I look at advertisements, it just makes me feel like, I don't know. I guess because I know it's AI now, I kind of just scroll past it. It's like easier for me to ignore it. It's easier for me to just, I don't really, it's just easier. In a way, it's turned me off. And I wonder if that's going to happen in movies too, because I know that AI, all the special effects are made through AI. It kind of makes me miss the early special effects, to be honest with you. When I've been watching Netflix. I don't watch it. I go to other, a friend's house or whatever, and we see Netflix or with family or whatever. And it's weird how you see these special effects, they look amazing, but because I know that they're digitally made and they're probably made through AI, I don't care anymore as much because it doesn't have, I don't know, it just doesn't feel, it just feels generic. There's something that it just doesn't matter anymore. You can't look at it and appreciate it the same way because it's probably something that just was made and it probably doesn't even have the intricacy. It's like looking at a tech demo, right? When you look at a tech demo, you don't expect the details of an actual, of something that is, of something that is made with, I don't know, because if you don't see the details of reality, I guess is what I'm saying, right? In real life, things are different in terms of, in real life, things look much more realistic, right? Like the level of detail is so much more when you look at life in reality, to the point where really cameras and videos, they are limited, in terms of the fidelity of how things look. And that's something else that could be explored, actually. Like, imagine if, I don't know, I imagine if we should focus on that instead of, we're building like a lot of these virtual reality, and I don't think they're anywhere near the level of detail that actual reality has. So in terms of resolution, in terms of look, so there are severe limitations. Like, we're close to it, but we're not anywhere near. And so, but the point is, when I think about, I mean, the reason why I bring this up is because when you look at, it's not really about the fidelity or the details, because things that are, when you watch old movies, a lot of the effects were made by hand, and so that's not the problem. I don't have so it's not really about details. You can believe anything as long as it doesn't matter what it is, as long as, but the only thing is that I wish that I don't know, there's just something about something being made without a purpose, and the risk of it being meaningless because of it. The risk that, there's a risk that no human even saw this, that this is completely auto-generated, and eventually we'll reach a stage where nobody's even paying attention to what it's doing, as weird as that sounds. And when we reach that point, it's not so much that there's a problem per se with the picture, but it's because it lacks reality. It's just an issue of trust. It's an issue of the idea that it's not made by someone, that's not curated by someone who has sat down and looked at it. Because something that is made by someone, even if it has mistakes, something that is made by someone on purpose, there at least you can trust that it was made. There's a purpose behind it, or even if there's not a purpose, but it's made by someone who, like, it's an authentic thing. And there's something about the AI art that makes you feel like I might be looking at something that's a waste of time, kind of. That it might be looking at something that's, it doesn't exist in real life. It doesn't. It just makes me feel like I don't know, like, if it's, like, I can't trust it. Because if you read an article, right, and it's auto-generated and nobody has ever read it to proofread it or make sure that it's correct, how do you know that what it's saying makes sense? And you could say that about anything. I mean, I guess in theory, the mistakes happen all the time too, but it's different when the mistake is being made by a computer and you don't know, and so you're getting told nonsense. And even then, if I want to read something random, there's always something more valuable, and I've talked about this in other videos. There's always something more valuable about a human opinion, even if it's wrong. But when it's auto-generated, I feel like it's too. It's like reading something that is just not that is limited. At least when I'm talking to a human being, or when I'm watching the art of someone who is human, at least there's the chance that there's a story behind why they chose to do what they did, or there is or in the case of humans, that the human is able to explain, say something that's never been said before. I think that's what I love about human interactions. When you talk to someone, it's just random. There's something magical about the creation process that humans have, and all humans are creative creatures in that sense. Every human that I talk to, they always say, even if it's the most simplistic thing, they create, they say things. What they say and what comes out of a person's mouth is always, you never know what people are going to say, and they might say something that you will never hear, and that a computer will never say either, technically. Not in the same way, not in the same context, right? I mean, they won't say that exact thing, and so that makes it valuable. I don't know, there's just something valuable about it. Something that that you can't get anywhere else. And I think that's partially where the value comes from when you're dealing. Whereas with Gen I, with the AI art, it makes it, because it doesn't, because it's, I think it's the risk of it not having, of it not making sense, or the risk of it not, of being something that's just repetitive, that's not, like let's say it just produces a million photos or whatever, and it's always the same thing. It's always a person sitting like that, with their hair like this, with their outfit like that, with their house, even if it's a slightly variation, but it's always the same thing. It never varies. It never strays away from that. And to me, that it gives it this rigidity. It's like, you would think that it's innumerable, but it's actually the opposite. It limits humanity, and it limits our thinking, and it limits creativity in a way. Because why can't it just look something else? Why can't we ever go beyond what is now, what our cultural and social norms and the way that we look, I guess. We're not even talking about humanity. Of course, there is a universality to the human experience, but I'm talking more about fashion. We're talking about fashion. We're talking about architecture. I'm talking about the way it looks. Why does it have to be bright? Why does it have to, the things that, the idea is, it tries to define what is the ultimate, or what is the absolute, what is the best version of something. That's really what AI tries to do. It is a judgment call. And in my view, why does that judgment call exist? Like, there isn't a best. And so that's another thing too about these advertisements. When I see it, it just looks too clean. It looks too, and so it makes it so that I don't want to look at it. It makes it so that I don't, I just scroll past it. I'll see it like, oh, there it is. I'm seeing that. And then I'll just I'll ignore it, because you can kind of just tell that it's an ad already. And, before, I guess we ignored ads before. I mean, I think, I've been using the internet, right? We've used the internet before, and we, it's easy enough to ignore. And I guess, the difference is, like, people have talked about, like Photoshop, right? Like, Photoshop has been around, so I guess it's not that different, in that sense. But this time, the fact that it can just be used, I don't know why that causes, it just loses its value to me, and it makes me not want to see it, because it might make me think about something that doesn't exist. And because of that, it makes me not want to think about it at all. If I recognize or it feels like this doesn't exist, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste 1 second thinking or trying to think like, because normally when I look at something, I would think, oh, I wonder where this is, or, oh, this is a nice architecture, or this is a nice design. But no, I don't want to think about it. I don't want to waste my time on it in a way. Because I assume that it's like something, it's like if somebody were to just grab something, off a shelf, or, some random, object, and just throw it at me. And then I'm kind of, it doesn't mean anything. I don't know. If something is just grabbed, I guess the value, like I said before, is the ability to see the creative side of people, and being able to see that creativity is, and get the chance of seeing something random, something beautiful that comes up, is what gives value to what people do, what people say. That's what makes humanity amazing. We're not just robots. We're not just sort of atoms that just do the same thing. We create new things, and I want to see humans create new things. And when you talk to a real human, they say things that you might not ever see, and that makes it special. That makes it like an experience that you can never really find in other ways. Because even if you do have an AI that is, I guess what I'm trying to say is, here's how I'll boil it down. With AI, there's a limit. It might have millions of possible sayings, and possible interactions, and possible actions. But with a human, I feel like it's more, it might not have the, it might not have the access to all the millions of information that an AI machine has, right? But a human can have access to ideas that are outside of the scope of AI. Believe it or not, what AI knows, AI doesn't know anything. It doesn't know everything. It only knows what is considered intelligent, what is considered standard, what it has been fed. The information that exists on the internet, right? Okay, well, there's a lot that doesn't exist on the internet. So, and there's a lot of things that there are limitations, is what I'm saying. Whereas a human, I'm more likely to get outside of that limitation. I'm more likely to get something that you're never going to get somewhere else. Like, humans are capable of going outside of the boundaries of the universe, as crazy as that sounds. They are capable of doing that in a way that robots and AI isn't even a real robot. I don't even consider it an artificial intelligence. I think that's a misnomer. I think it's really just, it's just a search engine, to be honest with you. It's a search engine that is able to accurately, sort of accurately put words into, meanings. But that doesn't mean that it understands the meanings. It just kind of knows how to categorize it. And if anything, it's just proof that language is simple. People think that language is complex. It's not. It's pretty simple. And that's what AI does. And it's great. And from my understanding, the technology has existed since the 1980s. So it's not even a new thing. So, but anyway, thank you for joining me. What do you all think about this? Do you guys scroll past these AI advertisements or adverts? And here's another ad. We call them, in America they say ad. We've been looking at these ads. I mean, they look nice, but like I said, it makes it easier for me to just scroll through it. And I don't know if you guys have had the same effect. And I don't know, it's weird because I feel like from now on, I'm going to be doing that because it makes it easier for me to ignore. If I'm looking outside and it's like, oh, that's an AI image, it kind of makes me not want to look at it. And it's kind of sad because even an album, like I've been looking at album covers, when you walk past the, you walk past the music section and you see these album covers, the new albums that are coming out, I don't even look at them because they look AI generated. So now it's weird because you used to admire like album art, I'm talking about the music, whether it's vinyl or CD. And it's like, that's kind of sad. I don't know. I know it's always been, like that, but there's, it's always been designed, I guess, by, with Photoshop but still, there's just something about, I don't know, just something about the fact that it's generated that it's causing me to kind of just ignore it because I don't know. Because I know that it's not made by a human. It's kind of weird. I wonder if it just makes me want to ignore it more and not look at it. It's too pretty. I walk past it now. So now if I'm walking at the mall, I kind of ignore. I think I'm too self-aware of what's happening. Advertisement works because you don't know why. But when you understand what advertisement is and why it works, it doesn't work anymore. In fact, I walk past it and same thing. I don't even read anymore. I don't read the content anymore, right? Because if I see a content or read an article and it feels like it's made by AI or it feels like it's just repeating what something else said instead of adding something new or interesting, I just scroll past it now. And it's kind of weird. It's making it so that the world, I'm just kind of walking through trying to avoid things that are not authentic. And to me, they kind of don't feel authentic. Even when I'm walking around, like I'm walking at the mall, around the mall, and all of a sudden I don't pay attention anymore to the billboards or anything because I don't know because I'm too self-aware because I realize what it is, and for some reason I don't know, and so I wonder. I think maybe there might be a way to do this if they're able to not just do what's my solution, I guess, because you might say, well, how can they get our attention? You could get our attention by doing something maybe that's different. That's not just, that's something that we've never seen before. Like maybe that would be a better use. And it can be used to create, but you still need humans to take things to the next level, right? It seems to be that the AI kind of keeps us stuck in today. And it takes a human to be able to say, hey, you know what? Houses don't have to look like this. Our outfits don't have to fit that way. We could wear different colors. We could wear different textures. We could, it doesn't have to be this way. Like you need, someone to, it's okay for humans to change things. And I think in that sense, AI could be used as a tool. I don't want to say that, obviously it has a purpose, it could be used, but I would like for it to be used in ways that are more, that don't keep us stuck in this, it's in a world, in this perfect world, and that takes us to the next level. Because I would hope that every decade continues to grow, but that's a whole other topic. So, comment and let's see what you think.